Old wise man. Okay, I'm gonna go back, and I need to choose things. Alright, let's go here. I headed over to Inabushi's room. Entering, I saw Inabushi Kaiko sitting on top of the desk. Okay. Inabushi Kaiko. Inabushi Kaiko, right? Inabushi Kaiko? Who the heck is that? Your girlfriend or something? My name is Suzukage Hitori. Could you not get it wrong like that? Hearing from her, I suddenly remember something. Tsumi and Uni had called her by the name Hitori. In other words, that meant that right now the dominant personality of the girl in front of me was Suzukage. However, I found something unnatural about that. Why didn't she know about Inabushi? Shouldn't she know the name written in her own family register? Still harboring my doubts, I said this in the meantime. I see, so you're Hitori. Yep, she nodded immediately. I tried to assert the idea that you should be Inabushi Kaiko. As fact, here and now, nothing would come of it, though I still have my apprehensions about a condition I decided to call her Hitori. And? What did you come here for, Satoru? There we go. And that face, are you angry? A bit. What? No, don't get angry! There we... Okay, listen to that. Gulping, I gave a small nod, and then... Yay, alright! All of a sudden, Tori jumped away from me. She started bouncing on the bed in joy. The truth is, the inside of my bathtub is all dirty. So would you wash for me? That was all she said. All of a sudden, the complete change left me speechless. Well, what's up? You can't be thinking of backing out now, right? I saw you nod, you know. Or is it something else? Were you fantasizing about something weird? God damn it, she tricked me! Oh my goodness, shame on you, Satoru! She wiggled and swung her hips. She kept on dancing around me. Watching her, I realized how thoughtless I'd just been. Well then, I'll leave it to you. Leaving only those words, she left the room. Inside, only the desolate sound of the snowstorm could be heard. Damn it, why did I have to be the one to do this? I muttered as I wiped the sweat off my forehead. Sure as Hitori had said, the work itself was easy. And she'd been telling the truth when she said it'll be over real quick. And it's not like her saying that if you ever wanted to take your time, you could do it until tomorrow morning was a lie either. However, there was just one thing wrong with what she just said. Damn it. Oh, she got me really good. This work, you'd never be able to get it done if you weren't allowed to complain about it. To me, this definitely wasn't something that you could do without saying a word. But even so, I thought to myself while I washed the tub, about Suzukage Hitori, there were plenty of things that bothered me. It's pretty much our first meeting, she said. And yet she turned on the seduction with me without showing the slightest hesitation. But in actuality, what bothered me the most was how much my impression of her had changed. Inabushi Kaiko took the lives of 12 people at that hospital. Even if it wasn't the Hitori personality herself with blood on her hands, somewhere on the reserve side of her personality a shudder-inducing cruelty and madness said to lurk. However, I felt no fear when I spoke to her. I couldn't understand it. There was definitely plenty of abnormal things about her conduct, but for her to kill those 12 people one after another, I couldn't believe she was capable of something like that. Normally, a few minutes of conversation wouldn't be enough for me to understand her true nature, but I wanted to believe her. Why I've begun to think like that, even I don't know. Could it be because I've fallen prey to her charms? Suddenly stopped what I was doing, a bundle of anxiety within me. As thought tried to shake it loose, I threw myself back into scrubbing the bathtub with renewed vigor. I left after I finished cleaning the bathroom. I couldn't go on thinking about Hitori forever. There were things I needed to do. So I already decided where I was going next. In order to clear my head, I took a deep breath. I stood in front of the door. Come in! Where were you? Yeah. Well, actually, almost exactly a year ago from today I met a guy that looked just like you in a shelter cabin on a mountain called Cocoro. Huh? But I've never been to a place like that. And I just said that I don't have a clone. You must have met someone who looked just like me, right? You hear about it a lot, right? And in the world there are 3 other people who are the mirror image of you. I gave a slight nod, but there wasn't a response from the heart. Uni's case went far deeper than a mere physical similarity. The Uni there and the Uni here, if they weren't clones, then what were they? No matter how I looked at it, I couldn't think of them as anything other than the same person. Besides, doesn't the fact that they both have this name Kasuda Uni decide everything? No, now that it comes to this, I've no other choice. I could ask him directly. Okay, ask him why he's in Sphere. Why are you here? Okay, it's 96%. Didn't you say that he didn't know anything about Mount Cocoro? What does that mean? Then after that... Time passed. It was now 4 p.m. Having returned to my room, I threw myself down on the bed in deep in thought. Only 97%. That's weird. I transferred to the shelter cabin. My form had, of course, become that of Cocoro. She was sitting in a wooden chair. I'd grown accustomed to even this random phenomenon, so I wasn't all that bothered. Oh, but something's off. Some kind of strangely uncomfortable feeling. Uncomfortable feeling, or should I say an unpleasant one. Whoa! The old man. Why is the old man face so close to me? And moreover, what are you doing? An uncomfortable feeling was coming from the right pinky. It felt something tepid. Something soft and slippery was crawling around my finger. On top of that, it felt as though a sea anemone was sticking to it. The old man's face was on the same level as my hand. My finger was in the old man's mouth. The strange feeling coming from my finger was in sync with the movements of his mouth. Ugh, desperately tried to assess the situation. Sure, with this information to go on. Oh my god. Yomogi, you stuck at my pinky finger. My cute little pinky is being stuck by a bearded old man. His face was stretched out in an unpleasant leer. That looks weird. Clenched my other hand into a fist. Stop it, it's disgusting! Using all my strength, I knocked Yomogi off his feet. He went flying away from me. He somersaulted and rolled across the floor. It looked really painful, but I felt it was a fitting punishment. I re-examined my right pinky. It was injured. There was a small cut there. It stung and was bleeding. On the wrist of the same hand was a wristwatch. It was 6:05. A pain in the ass. Cleaned to myself, I removed the wristwatch and abandoned it on the table. Ooh, that was a good one. Yomogi wiped his mouth as he stood. Are you an idiot? I was truly shocked. You became Yukidoh-kun. Yeah. More importantly, what the hell happened to my little pinky? I asked that showed the cut. The knife, it's from the knife. Oh right, didn't we jump when we were holding the knife? Yeah. I remember I got a little worried there, but I completely forgot about that moment. You cut yourself on it. Me? That's right. That is to say, Cocoro did. Yeah, Kuriko's clumsy. Yeah, she just picked up the knife and started messing around with it. It's dangerous, so I told her to be careful, but really, what does she think would happen, that girl? It's not like she's a little kid. Jeez, this hurts, seriously. I unconsciously licked my bleeding little finger. Ugh, tastes like old man. Ah! Damn it! God damn it! Felt as though if I'd lost something precious. Something really precious to a girl, although I'm actually a man right now. My purity, innocence, virtue, this nicotine-stained old geezer had soiled them. I've been soiled, Such a horrifying tragedy that tears began to stream from my eyes. It's a Moogle! By the way, old man, did you give Kuroko the piece of cardboard for me? Wrapping myself in blankets, I asked that as I watched the fire in the stove. Sorry, I forgot. What the hell, seriously? Sorry. I'll definitely do it the next time Fuyukawa comes back. Sheesh, I'm counting on you. I reminded him one more time. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember, because when Cocoro goes back and then the earthquake happens, she doesn't read the note, which means the note was actually made before then. Okay. Then I took the VR out of my pocket. Cocoro might have listened to the message, and if she had, it's almost certain that she'd record an answer. When I looked at the data list, only data 1 and data 2 were listed. Played data 1. I'm a seagull. Oh, that one actually came up as a tip. Really? I already know what it means, though. Cocoro had said that these were beautiful words. In reality, the phrase is not exactly something one should be awestruck by. Yeah. Those are the words uttered by the first woman in space, or learn, yeah. It's not a reply for me, so I went ahead and played Data 2. Continuation from message from before, so don't want to transfer again. I'll just get down to business. Come down and listen, okay? Actually, it seems that I and my body... Yeah. Recall what happened. But then I wonder what brought Itsumi to my room. She was kind of fidgety and her eyes were full of unease, almost as though she was afraid of something. I had a really bad feeling. I was beset by vague uneasiness with no clear cause. Cocoro began probably still hasn't heard my warning. Some unforeseen trouble was going on in Sphere right now. The flame in the stove before me flickered. The firewood within popped in a quick, vivid sound. Oh, we jumped again. Seized. Without warning, I was plunged into complete darkness. A moment later, a sharp pain shot up my left arm. The pain was agonizing, as if I was being burnt. Ugh. I never understand that I cried out. What was it? What the hell happened? I gave in and began to panic. Wait, calm down, calm down. Calm down and think, look at the situation with a cool head. During the throbbing pain in my arm, I reeled my brain around and forced it to think. The room smelled odd. Odd was also the word, to describe the way the room's temperature felt against my skin. And that wasn't all. My physical senses, even the feeling of clothes against my skin, had undergone a complete change. In the first place, why is it that I'm standing up right now, and I was sitting down just a moment ago? In other words, I had transferred to Sphere. Why is it so dark? And what's this pain to my arm? The pain was unbearable. I could tell it was no mere wound. Judging from it, I had probably been cut. Probably roughly at all. A large amount of blood seemed to be flowing steadily from the wound. Just what the hell happened? Squinting, I took in my surroundings. As there haze, I could gradually see the area around me. I'm in the living area, huh? Ugh. Sensing another's presence, I turned around. There was someone there. I could see a human silhouette in the darkness. It was standing not too far from me. However, I couldn't make out who it was. Who's there? The unknown person's right hand was holding something. Something that was reflecting in a cold light. It was a knife. The hand of the silhouette held a knife. So this bastard is the one who cut my left hand. Memory from yesterday arose from like a flashback. My fall from the clock tower. My attempted drowning in the bathtub. It was still hard to believe, but it appeared that someone really was after my life. And now my attacker had finally appeared before me. Knife in hand, the shadow slowly began to approach me. Slowly. As if the shadow was sliding across the floor, the distance between us quickly lessened. A chill ran up my spine. Why was it so dark? Where was the electricity? Where were the lights? The knife drew ever closer. The exposed blade glittered in the dark. I'll be killed. Instinctively, I... By the way, did I end up getting these other choices? Yeah, I did. Cool. Alright, I chose to stand my ground. I kicked off from the floor and launched myself towards the shadow. My actions may have caught me by surprise as it took a stance that revealed its bewilderment. This is my chance. If I can use this opening to disarm it, I grabbed for its right arm. But... Gah! When I extended one of my arms, an unbearable pain ran through. I'd forgotten about my injury. The overwhelming pain sent me staggering, and I stumbled right in the direction of the silhouette. I fell into a triangle to the floor, and a desperate struggle ensued. And soon... Ow! Piercing pain ran through my abdomen. Hot, burning, hot pain. Instantly nausea came over me. I felt vomit welling up in my throat. Avoided a large quantity of something onto the floor. Was I stabbed? I wonder. My vision blurred, my sense of balance disappeared. As if I was melting into the darkness, slowly collapsed. Along the pain began to dull. My senses slowly ceased to operate, and gradually I felt nothing at all. No, within the darkness I saw that shadow darker than the night with my own eyes. But just before I could get the words out, the lips of the shadow obstructed mine. Long hair fell across my face. That was the last thing I ever saw. Yep. The story is not finished yet. Truth is not revealed. And it circulates to an incident. It is an infinity loop. Okay. I want to go back. So, continue. Quick load. Okay, so this one. Alright, run away. I broke into a run. Where should I go? Where should be safe? And I needed to find a place to hide. It was at that moment that I had a thought. Ugh, my foot bumped into something. Pain ran along my shin as I took a spectacular tumble. I tripped over the table. Damn, I had to get up. Pushed myself up from the floor with both hands. Sharp pain pierced my left arm. I fell down again, writhing in pain. It's no good. No good at this rate. An alarm went off inside my head. My entire body was covered in cold sweat. At this rate, I'll be killed. Jump? Yep. And that's when Cocoro starts running away from the person, and that's when she gets locked outside, and stuff like that, I think. I could be wrong. Receive. The concealing darkness before my eyes disappeared in an instant. A faint red light, softly illuminated the surrounding area. I was in the shelter cabin. Another transfer had occurred. Oh, I'm saved. Oh, well, that thought didn't last long. I had a strange sensation near my feet, as though being touched by something syrupy. It engulfed me up my ankles, climbed to the knees, and crept to my thighs, now reaching my waist. It wormed into my spinal cord, ate into my intestines, pierced my lungs, and began to overflow from my trachea. The stench of rot made me nauseous. The smell of death, the breath of the Grim Reaper. The sharp edge of a sickle dug into my throat. I shook my head wildly to drive away the delusion. However, the anxiety wouldn't disappear. It began to engulf my entire body. Right now I'm alive. However, the next time a transfer occurs, I could wind up dead. I didn't know what happened to the body I left behind in Sphere. It might have already been chopped to pieces by the hands of that unknown maniac. The term half-dead had taken on a whole new meaning for me. I'm almost like cat locked in the box. My eyes dropped to Cocoro's wristwatch. The present time was 7:34. Cocoro, I'm begging you, please get away somehow. Please be safe and survive. While I was at the shelter cabin, the only thing I could do was pray. Lifting up my head, I saw Yomogi Lin in the room. Yomogi had plunked himself down on a log chair and was reading the taped together newspaper. It was the newspaper we reconstructed yesterday. Lin sat beside the bed with her legs crossed, staring intently at Yomogi. One of her cheeks was clenched and twitched from time to time. Had they had some kind of disagreement? Lin had the face of someone trying to hold back from rising tide of resentment. And where was Uni anyway? I couldn't see him anymore. At that moment I thought that I heard a clattering sound coming from below the floorboards. From the square hole in the corner of the room. Looked down into it and saw him. Uni was flashing around in a wooden box, searching for something. Thought about calling out to him, but I decided that now wouldn't be a good time and stopped myself. It was enough for the time being that I knew where I was. As for the other two, neither of them had said a word. Biting my lip, I walked around the room aimlessly, as if trying to throw off the shadow of death. The shadow wrapped itself around my ankles and slithered along after me. My heart raced in my chest. My warm blood became a muddied stream and coursed through my body. I placed my right hand against my chest and somehow tried to calm myself. By reflex, I quickly looked back down at the open palm. My left hand. I hadn't noticed until now, but Cocoro's left arm had been gripping the voice recorder. Did she leave a reply? Clinging to the hope, I hit the voice recorder's power button. Data 3, there was a new voice file. I greedily pressed my ear to the speaker and listened to it. Shh, 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 shh. Did she drop it in the snow? It was disappointing, but there was nothing in the recording but meaningless noise. There wasn't... Sorry. There wasn't any new data besides that. I unintentionally clucked my tongue. The voice recorder had gotten soaked with sweat. I wiped it down with my sleeve and placed it back into my pocket. When will the next transfer occur? I'm gonna go back to Cocoro's chapter in my recording, the episodes that I've rendered, and see what she exactly said in that time. I don't remember what she said. So I went back and she didn't say anything. She was the time before she jumps and ends up running away from the criminal, which is after that bit we just went from. Okay, so the bit before that was when the earthquake happened, and Cocoro helped out Uni, or helped out Hattori, depending which one you chose. And then Cocoro ends up jumping while she's talking to Uni in the lounge when the blackout's still on. So then when Satoru comes in right after that, Uni's not in front of him, or as far as you can tell, he's not used to the darkness, so I'm not sure if Uni was still there. But yet someone with a knife is there. So that points me to believe it's Uni with the knife. Okay. Also, that third data file, Cocoro didn't make that. while she was in the cabin, before she jumped back, which is just before this area, she was listening to data file 2, which is the message that Satoru made, and it was the first time she'd listened to the data file properly, and she didn't get to finish it, which means she didn't even get time to make her own, meaning whenever the data file 3 was made, it was it was most likely made when? I don't know when it could have been made, actually. Weird. That's interesting. What happened to my body? After this, I'll have to jump back into the blind darkness from before. And on top of that, my own consciousness will have jumped back without knowing what's going on. Knowing that, the big shove might come at them any moment, I couldn't relax it for a second. Besides that, while I fear for myself, at the same time I'm worried about Cocoro. What if Cocoro would have wind up dead because of me? If it came down to that, what would I do? She didn't have any connection whatsoever to the events in Sphere. But in spite of that, even now there may be a sharp blade poised right above her throat. The image of Cocoro writhing in agony appeared in my mind. I want to save her. I wanted to change places with her this very instant. However, at the same time, I felt a crushing sensation of fear. A maddening feeling of frustration gouged at my chest. The time slowly passed as my inner dispute continued. Inside the cabin, shut in by the snowstorm. Even though my body was freezing, uncomfortable sweat ran down me without end. And then, just at that moment, "Cut it out already!" Lynn's shrill voice reached my eardrums. I jumped in surprise and began preparing myself for the next attack. Timidly turned around. Lynn stood up. Her gaze was directed not at me, but at Yomogi. Yomogi, who was taken aback, was returning her gaze. She turned his way and began to approach, her high heels clicking against the floor. "What's wrong?" Without a word, Lynn snatched the newspaper away from him. "Hey now, were you going to take away my only source of entertainment too?" "Entertainment?" "At the very least, I can use it to pass the time." I was reading it. Oh, this is why Satoru ends up reading the newspaper, because he notices it. "Or would you rather be my conversation partner instead?" "Don't you think anything of it? How can you stay cool after reading such a thing?" "Who's staying cool? Just as scared as you are. However, in order to conquer my fears, I first have to discover the true nature of the newspaper. In order to climb a mountain, you must know its true form in advance. This is the same thing." "How can the newspaper have a true form? It's an obvious fake." "A fake? A fake? You were saying a different tune last night, as I recall. There's no way it could be a prank, wasn't it?" "Oh, shut up, it's an eyesore anyway. Don't go waving it around in front of me." And with that declaration, Lynn held the newspaper towards the wall. It flew in my direction. I quickly dodged it. The newspaper bounced off the wall and fell to the floor. "Her Highness is quite violent today." Yomogi shook his head, fed up, and removed a cigarette from his pocket. He placed the one in his mouth and lit it. Phew. He inhaled the smoke, then blew it back out. "What an insensitive man." It's better than being oversensitive like you, isn't it?" "Huh." "Aside, do you actually want to be my conversation partner?" "You must be joking. Why don't you go talk to a snowman?" Tossing those scornful words his way, Lynn returned to her bedside. Yomogi plucked his lips and blew a smoke ring. And then, "Hey, Seiji, can you lend me a hand?" Yuni's voice called out from below. Looks like I found someone to pass the time with after all." Yomogi stood up with a spring in his step and descended into the underground storeroom with a cigarette between his lips. I suddenly remembered as I watched their exchange, right before I transferred from the shelter cabin last night. When we were all putting in the newspaper back together, Yomogi, Lynn, and Yuni were all freezing. So then what happened here overnight? If anything, the three of them seemed even more relaxed than after my transfer this afternoon. They were calm and quiet as if nothing had happened. What's wrong? Did this mean that the three of them had settled the matter of the newspaper while I was away? However, if the cinders of the problem are blown on again, and again, like they were just now, they'll catch fire again. Come to think of it, I've had two questions since I arrived here. The first is, how can a newspaper from July 2011 exist here? It should still be January 12, 2011 in the shelter cabin. So why is there a newspaper here from half a year later? Could it be that, like my consciousness, the newspaper had jumped through time and space and shown itself half a year earlier? However, in my case, it's only my consciousness that jumped. In other words, something without a physical form. In contrast, the newspaper had, how can I explain it? It had mass. The newspaper was an entity and composed of solid material. Even if it wasn't a newspaper but a CD-ROM or something, if only the information in this article had transferred, then you could say that it was the same as my situation, in a way. But that's not how things were. The page was made out of actual paper, and on top of that it was printed with a substance called ink. Therefore, I couldn't imagine how the paper could have been transported here via the same transference phenomenon. Then why is the newspaper from the future here? I felt like it wouldn't reach a conclusion no matter how long I thought over it. Continuing on my second question about Cocoro, did Cocoro really read this newspaper article? If so, then how did she feel about it? Of course, it wasn't just Cocoro. Yomogi and Lin read it as well. If someone were to find a newspaper from the future in which their own death was described, what would they think? How would they feel? I tried thinking, what if it were me? A newspaper from the future of unknown nature. In that paper was an article describing my death. If it were me and I read that, what would I think? I'd believe it. I would most likely believe what the article said, even if it did have a future date written on it. I don't think I'd ever be able to laugh it off so carelessly. If you ask me, it's because the words, the three bodies, or those of the survivors of the crash are written here, and among the names of these three people were my own as well as others. There is two others from the shelter cabin, and on top of that even Uni's name appeared there. This meant that they were correct in saying that these four specific people survived the plane crash, and therefore there were only two possible explanations. Either the newspaper was far from the future, or was from the past but written by someone with an abnormal ability of foresight. But no matter which was true, it didn't change the fact that the first half of the article was dead on. In that case, it was only human nature to believe that the rest of the article would come true as well. It looks like I'm going to die on January 17th, even if it was me, that's what I'd think. So Yomogi, Lin, and Cocoro are probably thinking that as well. On the surface, they're doing their best to appear calm, but in their hearts, I'm sure they're all beast by an excruciating unsettledness, uneasiness. On top of that, they were stuck inside the shelter cabin, trapped by a snowstorm. They had nowhere to run. Despair. In a way, I had nowhere to run. After all, I must find out that I died. I might find out that I died when the time of the next transfer came. I understood their feelings so well it hurt, especially Lin's. Suddenly feeling worried, I turned to face her. Lin was crouched down in the corner of the bed staring at the floor. The fiery spirit she'd shown until now had vanished completely. My feet unconsciously steered me in her direction. I slowly drew near and then took a seat on the bed next to Lin. You want something? She spoke softly without even raising her head. No, it's just... Sorry, I'm not really in the mood to talk to anyone right now. Could you leave me alone? Leave aside. I see. Sorry for bothering you. Whispering that to her, I got up and left. No matter what I'd said to her right now, it would probably be useless. I could tell that she wasn't exactly of sound mind at the moment. At times like these, there's nothing I can do but to leave her alone. Even as I thought that, I continued to bother me. When I reached the window, I turned around again. Perhaps she felt my eyes on her, but she looked up, her eyes met mine, and... What do you want, damn it? She slid a gloomy pallor over her face. She got up and walked past me, the hole in the floor near the doorway. She disappeared through it as if trying to avoid me. Yomogi and Uni appeared as though changing places with Lin. The two of them climbed up the ladder, one after the other. Huh? Did something happen? They see while looking at my complexion. No, it's nothing. Feigning complacency, I got up from the bed. A newspaper was lying in the corner of the room. I went over and picked it up. I sat on a long chair near the table. I spread out the patched-up newspaper and scanned the article. I've only read part of the newspaper. There could be other important information hidden somewhere in the rest of the articles. I was worried about Lin, of course, but I couldn't concentrate all my efforts on her. The transfers. The transfers started everything. There could be a clue in the newspaper somewhere that might shed light on them. Resolved, I proceeded to read the newspapers, and then... Captain Yomogi! Come here quickly, I'll discover hidden treasure. What? Hidden treasure, you say? Let's have a look. I heard Uni and Yomogi's voices behind the paper. Seriously? A magnificently colored treasure indeed. Oh, those blue and white stripes are quite unexpected. Private Uni, touching is prohibited. Maybe booby-trapped. Booby-trapped, you say? Yes, that's correct. Closing on you with a great snap and you see a snap, it's a very real possibility. But Captain, such a chance as this may not appear before us ever again. Even if it is a trap, I'll sacrifice myself. You fool, what are you saying? Can't let my precious private eye first class face such danger. As the captain, I'll take full responsibility. No, the death of the captain means the death of the entire squadron. I have no wife or children, nobody to cry over me. Silence. Say such a thing. You bastard, you intend to keep the treasure all for yourself? What are you saying, Captain? It never so much as crossed my mind to do such a... Just zooms in. What the heck are you guys doing back there? The way of speaking. Would you perchance be Yukidoh-kun? It's too much for a pain to answer, so I go straight down to business. So what are you guys doing, squatting over there like that? Well, that's... Yuni and Yomogi stared at each other, and then returned their gazes to me. When their eyes returned to was... What their eyes returned to was the place where my... No, it was the place where Cocoro's thighs converged. I instantly understood what they were doing or what the conversation had been about. Ah, huh. Huh. I could only sigh. You too sure, I laid back. I feel like I might have caught up in the same feeling just by looking at you guys. Even though I might die as soon as the next transfer happens, and even if I did manage to survive that, faced with a mountain of urgent problems that were sure to kill me afterwards, well, it's true that compared to over there, the world here is a lot more peaceful. I always have to be on my toes over there. I don't know who I can trust. Looking at it that way, I do feel a lot more laid back when I'm here. Took out the wristwatch as I complained. As it had been a habit, I put it in my pocket. What do you mean by there and there? No, it's nothing. Please continue. Saying that, I held the newspaper up once again. If you tell us to continue, Yeah! After all, for the time being, you're a girl, Satoru. Wouldn't it be better if you closed your legs? I don't really mind. It's no big deal if someone sees it. Besides, even if I do close them, they'll just go back to how they were before as soon as I let my guard down. It's been a habit for so long, you can't really expect me to change it. But, if Cocoro asks, please tell her I was really careful. Saying that from behind the newspaper, I heard Yuni and Yomogi begin to confer in frantic whispers. I don't really know what they're talking about, but, well, whatever. I forget about them and focus on the newspaper instead. There was an article about Flight 18 on the local news page, but there wasn't any new information on it. It's the same no matter how much times I read it, it's not like the text of the article will change. After the snow thawed, the decomposed corpses of 3 men and women were found in the mountain. Their names were Yomogi Seiji, Fuyukawa Cocoro, and Mayumi Lin. And they had lost their lives at 6:53 AM on January 17th after getting caught up in an avalanche. Conversely, you could say that they were able to survive until that time, and Yuni's name was written there in the paper as well. Sole survivor Kasuda Yuni-kun. Even now, half a year after the accident, Yuni-kun's mental state is yet to stabilize and he is steadfast in the refusal to speak. The Aomori Prefectural Police is still waiting for Yuni-kun's condition to improve in order to obtain more detailed information about the events that occurred. Ah, that's right. I've forgotten something important about Yuni. The Yuni in the shelter cabin right now wasn't the Yuni of 2011. Even if he was in the body, the consciousness dwelling inside the body belonged to the Yuni of 2012. If not, then how would the words of the Yuni at Sphere be explained? The Yuni at Sphere said he didn't know anything about Mount Akagura. He was definitely involved in a plane crash, but when he came to afterwards, he was suddenly at Sphere, that's what he said. The Yuni and that Yuni had, if only once, changed places with each other like me and Cocoro. I'll go ask the Yuni here about it and boom. And thus the funny scene.